het invasiegebied te beveiligen. Langs het hoofdkwartier van...
The orders came from the headquarters of the 6th Airborne Division, where I met General Gale.
Generaal Gale heb ik ontmoet. Ik heb op het hoofdkwartier...
At headquarters, I was given a guide who took me to the front line and put me in touch with the British company commander.
Met de Engelse companiecommandant van de commando's.
Those people were very professional in their dealings with us.
Zeer professioneel.
On est parti sur Ranville.
We left for Ranville, where the paratroopers and gliders were based.
Les planeurs étaient là.
Als wij aankwamen, het eerste dat ons kwestie oorlog trof was op de baan een groot plakkaat.
When we arrived, the first thing that brought home to us that we were at war was a large sign on which the British had written, "You are now under enemy observation."
U bent nu geobserveerd door de vijand.
Wij kwamen dus toe.
We arrived at Salanel, which had been one of the drop zones of the 6th Airborne Division. In fact, it hadn't changed at all since June the 6th, 1944, up until the moment that we arrived there.
Tot op het ogenblik dat wij daartoe kwamen, niks veranderd was.
Much to our surprise, we suddenly found ourselves under enemy bombardment. Luckily, we could take advantage of the trenches and foxholes that the paratroopers had dug before. Our first major enemy were the mosquitoes.
Ik weet alleen maar waar we geslapen
I
hebben.
only remember where we slept the first couple of days, in foxholes with a part of a glider serving as a roof. And I also remember that there were a lot of mosquitoes. We had to go out on patrol. Our target was to get to a crossroads, and it had to offer safe conduct by the next morning so that the armored troops could pass. We left with 40 men. One could hear the radio a kilometre away, and all 40 men had a little tin cup with them. And that little cup was attached to our rucksack. And with 40 men, it made a lot of noise. That's how we left. In fact, this patrol was preparing for the attack towards Merville and Franceville. The first people to arrive at that famous crossroads stepped on the mines. We were in the middle of a minefield. It was horrific. And in front of us was a hedge, behind which were the Germans who started firing at us. When we took the road from Salanel, we found it littered with dead animals. We basically had to slalom through them to make any progress. There were loads of dead soldiers and animals that hadn't been buried. They simply lay there rotting on the battlefield. I was driving the first scout car and couldn't pass as there were mines laying around, so the road was closed. And we had to call in the engineers to check for mines. I then saw that one of the engineer officers came and took cover in a ditch, except that it was filled with booby traps. But he stepped on one of them and didn't die straight away. He died later. We had to go and dig up the mines with 3 soldiers. They were De Quecker, Lawrence and Hans, and they left to sweep for mines. But shortly before, 3 Germans had come forward holding a large white flag above their heads. We were very happy, of course, that we'd taken 3 prisoners. But as soon as the flag was lowered, the remaining Germans that were still in their positions knew where the Allies were. And when De Quecker, Lawrence and Hans came up to the position, they started firing mortars right on the spot where the white flag had gone down. The Quaker took cover and, unfortunately, he fell on an S-mine.
Op een S-mijn. En met die 2 gevallen in zijn hoofd.
With those 2 cases in our minds, it was even more difficult to concentrate and start demining.
Om te concentreren om die mijn uit te halen.
Yeah, demining is dangerous work.
Die eerste dag, die eerste actiedag.
That first day when we saw action, it was really pretty bad for us. We lost quite a lot of men. When you have someone in your sights and you see the insignia on his cap, it marks you for the rest of your life. The town where we had the most enthusiastic welcome was Deauville. It was a pretty big town. A lot of people had stayed behind, ignoring the German order to evacuate.
Wij zijn 2 jaar.
Day and night, for 2 years, we spent every moment together. We did what brothers today do for each other. We got along well. We were really like brothers. We helped each other. Personally, I find what people call the memory important. Because what we went through in Normandy was huge. It's so important that I think that the younger generation, that's people from the ages of 7 to 77, I think that they should be reminded from time to time of the fact that freedom that we have now was paid for with human lives. I would simply ask the youth of today to, first of all, love their country and be proud of its history. Memoirs are recollections, and to remember means not to forget. Keeping the memory alive is very, very important, because we should never forget that those young people gave their lives so that we could live in freedom, and that is what's important. The people we interviewed still live through their war, even 65 years on. It continues to go on for them.